With the explosion of true wireless earbud releases throughout 2022, over-ear headphones have been feeling a little bit neglected. So today I'm taking a look at my first over-ear wired wireless headphone since the Soundcore Q series, which I reviewed over on HeadFi over a year ago now. Welcome to the ReganCipher review of the OneOdio A10. If you thought that the A10 had been kicking around for much longer, don't worry, you're not mistaken. This is a remix of a product which was released back in 2020. OneOdio have brought them up to date for 2022-23 with a number of changes, both cosmetic and under the hood. The shells now have an aluminium effect to give them the feel of more durability. Active noise cancellation has been boosted to plus 35 dB, taking advantage of both a feed-forward and feedback mic. Battery life has seen a jump with a handy quick charge feature, and they can now be used in wired mode once the battery has run out. They're now capable of high-res audio too. All of this has been facilitated with the deployment of the ever-reliable Best Technic BES 2300 chipset, used almost ubiquitously throughout the audio tech industry from Soundcore to One More during 2022. The unboxing experience with OneOdio here certainly has a more premium feel than the price tag would suggest, with a robust cardboard gift box style enclosure housing the release and its accessories. And I'm really glad that it was robust, because as you could see there, it looks like the couriers have been playing football with the box in the depot. The front of the box gives a striking depiction of what the headphones look like, as well as that high-res audio logo in the corner. The Power of Music slogan on the side reminds us that the raison d'etre with the Focus A10 is high quality audio, but it's worth mentioning at this point that on Bluetooth you've only got AAC and the SBC Codecs. If you want to take advantage of that high-res audio, you'll have to use the 3.5mm jack. But this time around, and this is even something that Soundcore can't offer with their Q series, you can use active noise cancellation when you're in wired mode. That extends your battery life, and it's one of the many product parameters which is listed on the back. With a 32 ohm impedance, they're relatively straightforward to drive, and the rest of the metrics here are pretty much what you would expect. You've got an increase in the active noise cancellation depth to 35 dB, 40mm dynamic driver, and 40 to 62 hours battery life depending on which features you're using are pretty much industry standard here as well. And one of the features with respect to the battery life is quick charge, which OneOdio for some reason don't mention here on the box. You're able to get around 2 hours additional play time from just 5 minutes worth of juice. I think this is definitely a big benefit. As part of the package, you're getting an EVA carry case which all of the accessories are housed in. There's absolutely nothing fancy about this carry case, but it certainly does the job. You've got the OneOdio logo screen printed in silver on the front. In terms of dimensions, you're looking around 220 at its longest by 185 by 55mm, so it's reasonably compact, and you can pop this in your bag. It's safe in the knowledge that your headphones are being protected without having to go out and buy a generic one from AliExpress. The instruction manual is only really in English, but OneOdio have got over the language barrier by using a lot of diagrams to reasonably good effect. The instructions on button presses and conducting tasks like making and taking a call, or reducing the volume, or cycling through tracks are all pretty straightforward, but working out Tom and Amy's three-way call on page 10 is still something I haven't managed to do, so I'll leave you to enjoy that outside of this review. You're also getting a USB A to C charge cable and a 3.5mm jack cable as well to use the headphones on wired. The quality is pretty much as you would expect with any budget earbud or headphone release. Unfortunately, the jack cable only measures 1 meter, so it's a little bit short. Certainly if you want to use it sat at your desk, for example, you'll probably want to use a longer cable instead. And as useful as the cables are as spares, one of the drawbacks with the case which is supplied with it is it doesn't really have any pockets to store the cables if you want to carry them around with you. These are only very minor quibbles, but they're possible areas of improvement for OneOdio in the future. And first impressions of the ergonomics and the design and build of the Focus A10 are really impressive. The headphones definitely have a robust feel without feeling too heavy, thanks to a combination of smart design and quality materials. The profile of the headphone is narrower than many of the ones I've tested, more in line with the contours of your head. Thankfully it isn't as narrow as the borderline pokey one more Sonoflow, and it looks a lot less overt than the protruding Soundcore Q35. Even so, the headband is very malleable and you've got around 4 centimeters extension on either side. That's not only ample customization to fit all sorts of heads of different shapes and sizes, but it allows you to wear it over the top of baseball caps as well. Once you've sized it to fit, you hear a satisfying snap and the teeth hold it very securely into place. You've got very soft memory foam padding around the headband as well. It takes the thickness to around 20mm and it makes for a really comfortable fit. If you're a bloke of a certain age who's slightly thinning on top like I am, then all the more padding that you can get the better, and this definitely ticks that box. And the top of the headband is the only place where you really see any OneOdio branding other than obviously the logo on the cups. This adds to a very modern, very sleek, minimalist design. If you're someone who feels perhaps a little bit self-conscious about wearing headphones in public, well, the A10 definitely tick the box there. They're not shouty or in your face whatsoever. Like with most headphones, the inside of the cups designates which one you should wear on your left ear and which one you should wear on your right. The cups have the same faux leather padding. It's nice and soft and it's quite thick as well. And this is especially important when you consider how the headphones will wear, because the openings on the inside of the cup for your ears, whilst they're not the smallest, they're not the biggest either, and as a result you may feel the insides of that padding against your ears. Now, getting this right for every ear is absolutely impossible, so headphone manufacturers have to try and balance probabilities and get it as close to the average ear as they possibly can, whilst also adding some mitigation in there just in case they do fall short and your ears are a little bit larger, and that's where the soft padding comes in. My ears are probably larger than average and probably too large for this set of headphones, but I certainly didn't feel any discomfort with them on my ears whatsoever, even during prolonged use. Now contrast this with something like the Soundcore Q35. The openings are much larger, but the clamping force is slightly more, and with all that space around your ears, they can rattle around quite a bit. Now the A10 definitely have a lower clamping force. This has advantages and disadvantages. The fit's very comfortable and I only found myself occasionally making micro adjustments, and it also means that your ears don't get too sweaty, which is a big bonus. On the flip side, it can occasionally result in some sound leakage, and comfort is optimized over active noise cancellation. That means that the A10 are better suited to casual listening and the daily commute over exercise where excessive motion can result in the headphones moving around quite a bit. You'll be fine to dash to make the train, but I wouldn't run 10k in them. The exterior edges to the subsections on the outside of the cups finished in black plastic with Rolex Daytona-esque concentric circles surrounding the OneOdio logo. It's a very subtle, very attractive look that contrasts really well with the charcoal grey aluminium look main body, and it's this combination that gives the A10 a little bit of character, allowing it to stand out a little from the almost unavoidable generic look that designing a set of headphones dictates. It gives it a fair durability whilst not compromising comfort nor portability. The headphones fold, twist and tilt, and everything snaps into place securely and satisfyingly. The hinges, which allow the headphones to fold up quite compact, have a robust feel to them, and they should, since they're reinforced with aluminium alloy. There's no squeaking, and unlike some of their competitors, they don't sound like they're going to snap in two when they lock into place. The cups are actually able to rotate more than the 90 degrees which they document, which is always nice to see, although the tilt range is a little bit limited, and this area is predominantly made out of plastic in order to keep the weight displacement at the optimal areas. The controls are located on the bottom of the outer edge of the bit that juts out that subsection of the cup. Most of the grunt work is handled by the right hand cup. You've got a multifunction button in the center, which is your on off switch. It's also used for playing and pause, and if you hold it down, that will initiate pairing. Having already connected to my phone, which is doing the filming, here I'm testing out the multipoint functionality. To connect to your second simultaneous device, just hold that multifunction button down for long enough so that it switches the headphones off, then switches them back on again, and then goes straight into pairing mode. You then have to move over to your device and complete the pairing from there. Notice that the multifunction button LED starts to flash red and blue whilst this process is going on. The LED then goes off once the connection is complete. Just bear in mind that while you've got nothing playing, you will get an occasional blue flash just to remind you that you've left that connection open and it's draining your battery. On either side of the multifunction button, you've got volume rockers. You've also got on the outer side a 3.5mm jack port for using the product in wired mode. Next to that is the voice mic. Hang on for a little bit longer, you'll be able to sample what your calls will sound like in the call quality tests later in the review. Coming to the volume rockers, as you would expect, the plus turns the volume up and the minus turns the volume down. If you hold each of those rockers down as well, they'll cycle through your tracks backwards and forwards respectively. The buttons are well positioned, they're responsive, they each have a slightly different tactile feel to help you remember what each of the buttons does. So I think OneOdio have done a really good job here. On the left hand cup, you've just got your USB-C charge socket and the ANC toggle switch. It toggles ANC off, transparency mode and ANC on, and when you're using either transparency or ANC, you'll get a green LED reminding you that you're using more battery. Once again, a nice little feature here. So on to the audio and sound signature, and as you'll see from the graph, OneOdio have gone for a very upper mid-centric monitor style tuning. This brings a clean, lean sound signature, giving prominence to female vocals and acoustics with a tapered sub bass and more gentle lower frequency response. The A10 have a very natural, fresh tonality and head stage with good width and depth. The focus on the mid-range with a recessed lower frequency response permits a greater perceived sense of depth and positioning, and it allows for good separation. It's easy to separate instruments and locate exactly where they are around you. I tested with a number of different genres and found imaging to be very accurate throughout, and despite the clean nature to the sound signature, the trebles aren't too bright. There's good texture and finesse to tams, shakers and cymbals without ever sounding shrill or edgy. Whilst the graph gives an impression of a really deep recess in the bass, it doesn't detract too much from the lower frequency response. There's a gentle rumble to the sub bass on Gecko by Oliver Heldens and Break Up With Your Girlfriend by Ariana Grande that was enough for me and didn't have me reaching for the EQ necessarily. But if you like a deep rumble to your sub bass, then these may not be the headphones for you. Although that said, I did test adjusting the bass quite heavily through Wavelet, and there's absolutely no distortion at all. So if you do want more grunt to your sub bass, it might be possible to tweak them to your liking. The timbre is on the colder side of neutral, and this works really well with most music styles, but especially electronic 80s and 90s from the likes of Tears for Fears and Seal. Switching ANC on and off doesn't really have an impact on the sound in the way that we often see it tightening up the soundstage on TWS. On wireless, remember you're using the lossy codecs of SBC and AAC. Switch to wired and you do get the benefits of high-res audio. For me, I did notice an upturn in the sound when plugging a cable in. Everything just feels a little bit tighter and a bit cleaner, and the volume seems a little bit quieter, so you may have to crank it up a little louder. For me, the A10 are a really pleasant listen with good detail and adequate resolution. It is a little bit of a shame that OneOdio don't currently have an app so that users can tweak the EQ to their own custom sound signature. Hopefully this will come in time. For Android users, remember you do always have Wavelet for that. Active noise cancellation on this model negates up to 35 dB of sound. On paper, that's definitely comparable to most of the other pretenders for the sub £100 over-ear headphone crown. For me, I find that the efficacy of active noise cancellation, certainly on headphones even more than earbuds, really comes down to how secure and stable that fit around your ears is and how good a seal you can get. That's certainly more instrumental than the documented dB level, and even though their fit isn't necessarily as tight on the A10, it still performs pretty well. The A10 cope with low rumbling sounds absolutely fine. Indoors, air conditioning units and nearby traffic see sizable reductions. You can still hear mechanical keyboards, but the clicks are definitely dulled. If you're trying to eradicate conversations, maybe in a busy office, like many headphones, this is where they fall a little way short. You won't be able to hear what's being said, but you'll probably hear something. And outdoors, whilst traffic and environmental sounds are comfortably muted, they don't disappear altogether. Wind noise is a bit of an Achilles heel for the A10. If you get a really strong gust, you might feel a minor reverberation around the back of the cup. I took a 2-hour walk through a variety of different scenarios today, and the A10 certainly didn't let me down at all. But if you're expecting or hoping for noise to be removed altogether, it's worth keeping a check on expectations. The A10 are 70-pound multi-purpose headphones, i.e. they have to satisfy the lion's share of users across a multitude of areas, not just ANC but comfort and stability as well. Whilst the ANC level will probably be adequate for the average user, it's not a set that's going to give you jaw ache or vertigo like, for example, the Sony WH-1000 XM4s. Transparency mode is okay. It can make your voice sound a little raspy in your own ears, and whilst there's only a minor amount of static noise, and it certainly wasn't enough to bother me, that may not be to everyone's liking. It handles mid-distance conversations okay, but any further and it does struggle a little. If someone's shouting at you from the other side of the room, you'll probably hear it, but you may not be able to decipher every word.
But overall, on the active noise cancellation, I think it's performing around about what I would expect when you compare it with some of their competitors, such as the Soundcore Space Q45 and the One More Sonoflow. I think it's probably around about the same as the Soundcore and maybe slightly better than the One More. So yeah, reasonably impressed with the performance on the OneOdio A10. I'm now on the main road, so we've got quite a bit of traffic noise now and quite a bit of wind noise as well coming past. So I'm interested to hear how that's going to impact on the outdoor call quality. But first, let's start with how they sound indoors. This is how you can expect the Focus A10 to sound in an indoor environment where you've been able to reduce all of those ambient sounds around you. Let's say you need to do an interview or a presentation and you're working in a very quiet room in the office, or maybe even at home as well if you've got nothing going on around you. This is how natural you can expect your voice to sound. Now we've introduced some simulated background noise. I've got two Tronsmart Bang speakers paired in different areas of the room to try and give that kind of 360-degree feel to the simulated background noise. This is what you can expect when you're in a very busy coffee shop, maybe a school or college corridor, and a really busy office. I mean, she's quite quiet at the moment, shopping area, but you should be able to hear some of the effects of an outdoor call, such as wind noise, a little bit of traffic noise, and occasional pedestrians. So I'm interested to hear how it's going to perform on this outdoor test. It should be reasonably commensurate with what you would expect on your commute, and we're going to walk over to a main road where you'll get more traffic noise in a moment. Okay, let's test again. I'm now on a main road, so the noise should be a lot louder, and it's another element of your daily commute, because whilst you might be in those quieter areas that I was previously, you might also periodically be walking along an A road or a main road. So this is where you've got quite a bit of engine noise now, and you've got cars coming past pretty quickly. So again, another challenge for the OneOdio A10. Okay, so we're right off on the main road now, where the traffic is not only very loud, but it's very close by. I'm very interested to hear how the OneOdio A10, with its dual mic ENC, is coping with this additional sound.
Battery life is one of the highlights on the Focus A10. As I mentioned previously, you've got that quick charge feature, giving you an additional 2 hours playtime from 5 minutes worth of juice. And the 40 hours with ANC and Bluetooth on is really commensurate with what you can expect compared with some of their competitors on the market. 40 hours seems to be that industry standard, and I found that the A10 were pretty much hitting that number, even with taking a few calls here and there. And as I said, using ANC, it still hasn't fallen far short of that 40-hour mark. And you can get up to 62 hours if you're using ANC with wired. You can also continue using them beyond the battery life by using that auxiliary cable in the 3.5mm jack port. In terms of connectivity, you're only getting Bluetooth 5 with the BES 2300 chipset, but I certainly didn't notice any problems in terms of dropouts. They performed absolutely fine, even putting up to 10 meters distance between yourself and the source. That didn't seem like a problem for the A10. Finally, on the latency, I haven't tested it with your first person shooters yet. I only gave it a quick blast with Roblox at the weekend, and also watching videos to see what that synchronization is like. Certainly not too bad on videos whatsoever, but on games you don't have a gaming mode. Well, you do, just plug a cable in, and that's always going to be better than Bluetooth, where even the most proficient performers still have a little bit of latency. So to summarize, OneAudio's decision to give the A10 a revamp seems to have been a wise one. It's a solid update that fares comparatively well next to the competition in a very congested sub £100 headphone market. The comfortable ergonomics, good build quality and smart aesthetics that categorize the original have been carried over into the new model, and the upturn in sound, ANC and call quality are all welcome improvements. Battery life is very good, the quick charge feature is another pleasing inclusion. The result overall is a very competitively priced set of headphones that do all the basics well and represent good value for money. There are a few omissions and potential areas for improvement for OneAudio, such as the provision of an app so you can tweak the EQ, perhaps slightly stronger ANC, and the addition of some high-res wireless codecs, LDAC support for example, which when you move up to some of the more expensive competitors such as the One More Sonoflow and the Soundcore Q45, they need to have in order to be able to compete. But overall, OneAudio have done a great job with this release, and when you consider that price on Amazon UK currently of £69.99, there's not too much around them that's able to compete. It's been great to review some headphones again. Please do leave your comments in the comment section below. For now, it's ReganCipher signing off.